Hammy here, back with section 24.2, Organs of Flowering Plants. This will be a short one, a quick one, which we will just review the main parts of a flowering plant. We divide a plant into three things: the roots, the shoots, and also the leaves. Okay. The root system, we would call it, okay, is going to be anything that's sort of underground. Okay. The shoots are going to be down here. You see the shoot system. The shoot system is going to be anything that is above ground. And obviously the leaves are going to come off of the main shoot system. When we look briefly here at the root system, remember we have apical meristems, apical meristematic tissue. Remember in the last video we talked about meristematic tissue being the stem cells of the plant that are ever dividing and creating new tissues. Okay, so on the tips of these roots, you're going to have meristematic tissue that is going to provide primary growth in the downward direction, and also meristematic tissue here that's going to provide lateral growth, as well as those roots wiggle and push down through the soil. We see some specializations like we see here with root hairs. The main job here is absorbing waters and minerals to send up to the leaves and the shoots, and they will be receiving organic materials like sugars, sucrose, down into the roots for storage as well. The shoot system includes the stem, which is the main sort of main line branch or upward support system for the plant. Off of that, you've got lateral buds that produce lateral branches that contain the leaves. In the leaf, you have the blade part of the leaf, where you can see leaf veins. That would be the vascular tissue, the xylem and phloem that we talked about in the last video. And it's attached to the stem by the petiole. At the top is the terminal bud. Again, that provides primary growth, the plant to grow taller. There is kind of a zoomed in view here that shows the shoot apical meristem. Okay, that is providing growth in the upward direction, usually towards light, towards the sun, so that it's trying to provide, for most plants, a lot of sunlight for the leaves for photosynthesis. There are lateral buds that will create offshoots or the lateral branches. We call the places where a branch comes off the node. And then between two nodes, between there would be called the internode. Okay, so those are the main parts of the flowering plant. One other thing we want to mention about angiosperms or flowering plants is there are two main categories of flowering plants: the monocot and also the dicot, okay, or eudicot. Growing up, we just always called it dicot. So if I say dicot a lot, that's why. It's based on the number of cotyledons. Okay, the cotyledons are the seed leaves. So as that, you put the seed in the ground and it sprouts or germinates and pushes up, you'll either get one or two seed leaves. So in this case, this looks like a little bean. It's producing the first seed leaves. Either one is a monocot, two is a dicot on the embryonic plant. And then as they grow older, besides just the seed leaves, we see many differences between monocot and dicot. So a lot of these things you will put on your plant poster. For example, in the root system of a monocot, the xylem and phloem are in a ring pattern in the root. Whereas in a dicot, there's a star pattern where the xylem are kind of what you see in red that form the star, and between the branches of the stars would be the phloem out here. In the stem of a monocot, the vascular bundles are kind of all scattered around the stem. I always think they kind of look like angry monkeys. I don't know. That's when you see the microscopic picture for your poster, maybe you'll see that too. Whereas in the dicot, they're in sort of a ring where you have xylem towards the inside and phloem on the outside, and they form a ring around the stem. When we look at leaves, there is a difference. Monocots tend to have a smooth-edged leaf, okay, and the veins are in a parallel venation. Okay, so they run kind of parallel to each other out over the leaf. whereas dicots can have smooth leaves, but oftentimes you'll see kind of a jagged edge, and they have a net venation. So there's different ways that can happen, but usually they'll have a starting point and they'll sort of net outwards from that. Flower parts in a monocot, they're in flower parts of threes or multiples of three. So 3, 6, 9, 12 petals. Whereas eudicots are in fours or fives or multiples of that. So 8 petals, 10 petals, 15 petals. And when we look at the pollen grain, a monocot pollen usually just has one pore or one slit, whereas a dicot will usually have 3. And these may seem like kind of small differences, kind of picky differences between the two. But when we talk about functions of the plant and how they work, it actually does make a big difference in some of those processes and how things are handled in the plant. Monocots tend to be a lot of our crops, our grasses, corn, a lot of food products that farmers grow, whereas dicots are a lot of the flowers and stuff that we see. Palm trees, soybeans would all be considered dicots. And you can easily Google search that and you can get a big list of both of them. And finally, your book, when it talks about organs of the plant, brings up this issue of annual versus perennial. Okay, so when we look at the life cycles of a plant, annuals, like a lot of the weeds and stuff that we see, it has one life cycle. It's usually lasts for 1 year. Okay, so in other words, the seed sprouts, forms a seedling. The seedling forms vegetative structures, the stems, the roots, the leaves. Then it produces a reproductive. So we're talking flowering plants, which would be the flowers, which then are pollinated and produce the seeds, which drop on the ground and will usually lie dormant over the winter. And the next spring, the seeds will sprout again. But that vegetative plant only lasts for 1 year. Whereas you have biennials that might last 2 years, but oftentimes we talk about perennials, which are 3 or more, so greater than or equal to 3 years. Okay, so originally you have to have a seed that is planted, sprouts, forms vegetative structures, okay, and then will produce reproductive organs that may spread more seeds to other places for the next year. But the second and third year, oftentimes the stem and so forth are sort of lost, and some of the vegetation and root structure stays in the soil, and next spring will sprout again, which then produces more seeds. And this may happen, 3 years or more, where that plant is always there. So obviously, like a bush, a shrub, or a tree, something like that is always there, is always growing year round, or sprouts and blooms every spring, summer, then goes dormant over the winter and comes back. So annual versus perennial. And that's it for section 24.2.